we dive back in, yes, get a bed, get a snack, clear out some trash, like get your, get whatever you need, get yourself settled. Because today we're going into book 17, which is called Stranger at the Gates. As we know, Odysseus is finally back at Ithaca. He has reunited with Eumaeus, our wonderful swineherd. He's also just reunited with Telemachus, and they have started coming up with a plan. Now, are we on the level of the Louvre heist? Don't think we're quite on that level yet, but we have a plan sort of formed. But the thing first is that Odysseus needs to go suss out his palace. He's got to go take a look around. He's got to see what's the situation. Like, who's on his side, who isn't, what exactly is the level of these suitors. Odysseus totally would have pulled off the Louvre heist. It wouldn't have been difficult. For a stream, and this is so cozy. We're very cozy here. We're very relaxed here. Got snackos, got drinks, and a super comfy hoodie. Excellent. Scouting time. Yes, this is absolutely the time where we're gathering intel. We're sussing out the sitch. We're gathering our intel. Now remember also that Athena has put Odysseus's old beggar man disguise back on. So, like, we are back in full disguise. Nobody recognizes us. Telemachus is in on the situation, so he's also part of the plan. And the big thing has been, one, we tell Penelope nothing, which kind of sucks, but understandable given all the anxieties we have going on. We are also not going to take the time to go through all of the other land holdings that Odysseus has and see what's the sitch of, like, hey, are they loyal to me there? Because as Telemachus rightly said, he goes, we don't have fucking time for that. We're just going to have to make do with what we got, and we got to go to the palace and, like, get this shit done. So he's going to have to make do with who's in the palace. And frankly, it's more important to suss out who is or isn't on your side in the palace when, like, that's where we're going to do the slaughter, right? Do you need to see if all the other streams to understand what's happening? If you have a vague understanding of the Odyssey, you'll be fine. We only read one book at a time. So we're just going to do book 17. So when we say book, we mean, like, chapter. We're just doing book 17 here. And this is all, right now, Odysseus has come back to Ithaca. We're in the lead up to the slaughter of the suitors. So not at the suitor slaughter proper, but, like, all that good planning and lead up and sneaking around, all the good, like, Ocean's 11 making the plan stuff. Yeah, we're doing 007, we're doing Ocean's 11, we are doing Mission Impossible. Like, this is deep undercover. Despite the but yes, and also, again, for Odysseus to just kind of see what's going on. So, undercover boss. Yeah, pretty much. Pink Panther stealth mission. Exactly. Yeah. The dun 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 dun. We're getting ready. Okay. Book 17. Stranger at the Gates. I also forgot to say, if anybody is playing bingo, make sure you have your bingo card out. We'll see if we make bingo. I don't think we made bingo last time. Maybe we did, I don't remember. When young Dawn with her rose-red fingers shone once more, Telemachus strapped his rawhide sandals to his feet, and the young prince, the son of King Odysseus, picked up the rugged spear that fit his grip and, striking out for the city, told his swineherd, I'm off to town, old friend, to present myself to mother. She'll never stop her bitter tears and mourning. Well, I know, till she sees me face to face. And for you, I have some orders. Take this luckless stranger, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Luckless stranger is Odysseus in disguise. To town, so he can beg his supper there, and whoever wants can give the man some crumbs and a cup to drink. How can I put up with every passer-by? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. My mind's weighed down with troubles. If the stranger resents it, all the worse for him. I like to tell the truth, and tell it plainly. Wink, wink. Like, all very, like, because remember, Eumaeus doesn't know. So Eumaeus doesn't know that this is Odysseus. So Telemachus is laying it on thick because Eumaeus doesn't know. Only Telemachus is in on the plan. And the Oscar goes to My friend, subtle Odysseus broke in, I've no desire myself to linger here. Better that beggars catch their meals in town than in fields. Some willing soul will see to my needs. I'm hardly fit at my age to keep a farm and jump to a foreman's every order. Go on then, this man will take me. As you've told him, once I'm warm from the fire and the sun's good and strong, look at the clothing on my back, all rags and tatters. I'm afraid the frosted dawn could do me in. And town, you say, is a long, hard way from here. These two laid it on so thick. At that, Telemachus strode down through the farm in quick, firm strides, brooding death for the suitors. And once he reached his well-constructed palace, propping his spear against a sturdy pillar and crossing the stone threshold, in he went. His old nurse was the first to see him, Euryclea, just spreading fleeces over the carved, inlaid chairs. Tears sprang to her eyes. She rushed straight to the prince as the other maids of great Odysseus flocked around him, hugged him warmly, kissed his head and shoulders. Now down from her chamber came discreet Penelope, looking for all the world like Artemis or golden Aphrodite, bursting into tears as she flung her arms around her darling son and kissed his face and kissed his shining eyes and sobbed. Would Eumaeus not question the sudden bad Xenia, since Telemachus usually gives good Xenia? No, because Telemachus did talk with Eumaeus saying, I don't know if I can bring him to my palace because I'm so overwhelmed with what's going on there. I don't think I can give him proper Xenia even if I wanted to, because there are 108 stalkers hanging out in my palace and have been here for 3 years. There's nothing I can do. So no, he's simply saying essentially I can't because of the situation that's going on here. So take him to where he can definitely get proper Xenia, and they had already discussed that he would send clothes to him. So once he's at a place where he's getting good Xenia and he's comfortable, we will send clothes, send stuff, and it will be appropriate. Xenia being I can't physically host you because of the situation, but I will still send you gifts, aka these clothes and things that would be appropriate. So he's trying to essentially find the best situation. So Eumaeus isn't going to question it because he's okay, Eumaeus understands the shit situation that's going on in the palace, obviously. 106, Agnes, get out of here with that silliness. I hope people have their spray guns ready, and I need everyone to spray Agnes for that. Absolutely not. Where I refer to as discreet Penelope now. Why emphasize the discretion? Now, obviously, Mariana's not here to cross-check me on what the Greek word is, and especially in comparison to what else might have been used to talk about Penelope. But it's a good way to remind the audience that even though Odysseus has these potential worries about his wife, because obviously everything we've had that leads up to it, we understand why he has natural anxieties as to how's my wife doing, she didn't leave, but how's she feeling about me? I've been gone for a while. A lot of anxieties. Again, we've been playing up the story of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra throughout the whole narrative. So he's got natural, totally understandable, justifiable anxieties. But we're cluing the audience in, no, discreet Penelope. Penelope never would. And it's because we kind of keep popping back to Penelope, but we're not spending as much time with her as we are obviously with Odysseus and even with Telemachus, because of the gender roles of the time, Penelope is not going to be involved in the slaughter, and not knowingly. So, and it's also adding to, she's using the word discreet, again, because I don't know the exact Greek word that's used. It could also just be emphasizing that she's, loyal, she keeps to herself, she's clever, she knows when to speak and when to not speak. Was pretending to be a new suitor not an option for Odysseus? It could have been, but it's not helpful when you're trying to suss out how the servants really feel. If you come in as a total outsider who's not involved with the suitors, you get a better sense of what's going on, right? And also, if you come in as a suitor, the servants who are loyal to Odysseus are going to try and keep a closer eye on you. So if you're someone who's a total outsider, not involved with the suitors, you're more likely to be able to kind of get around, and it just kind of makes more sense, because if you're coming in as a suitor, you have to explain your entire backstory and back it up and come in with all these gifts and all sorts of stuff. You need to show up and basically have while I think Odysseus could totally come up with a better story, coming in as the beggar just does
a greater service to his plan and for sussing out what's going on, as we'll see, because we're going to meet Melanthius. We'll see what happens with Melantho. You get a better sense of who people really are in this way. Other translations use wise mouth. Yeah, so we're basically talking about how she's smart, she's clever, she kind of knows when to speak, when to not speak, when to push, when not to push. So I'd wager that using the word discreet is a choice made by Fagles based upon whatever epithet is being used in Greek to describe her, and for him it just fits the situation, especially when, again, we've just made this plan where a big centerpiece of the plan is don't tell Penelope what's going on, right? She's got to be kept totally in the dark on this. Yeah, beggars equal invisible can easily eavesdrop. Yeah, it's a lot easier to get around when nobody's paying attention to you because they don't want to see you, kind of thing, right? Like the suitors would notice if somebody who came in as another suitor starts snooping around. They'd be like, what the fuck is he doing? Right? And if I need a fire hose. I could give him a terrible accent on purpose. Trust me, it's crossing my mind. You're home, Telemachus. Words flew from her heart. Sweet light of my eyes, I never thought I'd see you again. Once you shipped to Pylos against my will, so secret, out for news of your dear father. Quick, tell me, did you catch sight of the man? Meet him? What? Please, mother, steady Telemachus replied. Don't move me to tears. Don't stir the heart inside me. Mom, I'm trying to be big, strong man. I've just escaped from death. Sudden death. No. Bathe now, put on some fresh clothes, go up to your rooms with your serving women, pray and promise the gods a generous sacrifice to bring success, if Zeus will ever grant us the hour of revenge. I myself am off to the meeting grounds to summon up a guest who came with me from abroad when I sailed home. I sent him on ahead with my trusted crew. I told Piraeus to take him to his house, treat him well, host him with all goodwill, till I could come myself. In Greek, it basically means having good sense, wits, mind. Yeah, discreet falls along that. It's not the word I would have chosen. It's interesting he chose it. It's quite, but technically discreet works. Yeah, Penelope, spill the tea. Like, stupid kid, I can't believe you left. Now tell me what you found out. Versus here where he just says, Mom, please don't make me cry and get emotional now. I have big boy things to do. I have to go deal with some stuff and then I'll be back. Honestly, get yourself together, make a sacrifice to the gods, pray the hour of revenge has come at last. Like, yeah. Mom, don't embarrass me. I'm from the palace. Yeah, he's had that moment where he's chafing a bit against being the kid, but he's also like, I get it, and also got shit to do. Like, he has a lot he's got to kind of get done pretty fast, because now, and it's got to be difficult. He doesn't want to be around her because he knows his dad is home, but he can't tell her, and he so desperately wants to. So it's like, Mom, I can't be around you. I know, he's grown so much. Book Telemachus. We love Telemachus. We love Telemachus. He's a kid who's maturing quite a bit over the course of the story in a really beautiful way. He's like, Mom, why don't you go put on the good robe? Get that good veil. Yeah, Mom, get yourself pretty. No reasons. He is funny. I do like him. Words to the mark that left his mother silent. She bathed now, put on some fresh clothes, prayed, and promised the gods a generous sacrifice to bring success if Zeus would ever grant the hour of their revenge. What does words to the mark mean? Words to the mark. So words to the mark that left his mother silent. She's just sort of surprised. He's kind of hit, as we would say, like, hit the mark. You know how you say, like, your words have hit the mark. She's like, oh, okay. So she's like a little sus, but they've kind of taken her aback a bit, and they ping at something that she feels deeply. Mainly where he says, don't do this to me now, I'll get really emotional. Which obviously she fully understands. When we first met Penelope in book 1, she started weeping just even hearing these tales of Troy, which now we've learned Telemachus in his story of maturation, stories like that make him weep as well. He's like, I'm not ready to tell you yet, and I've got stuff to do, so I have to go. And so she's just like, got it. You know what? sorry, kind of came at you all at once. Absolutely right. The words hit the mark. She's like, wow, okay, you know what? Look how much he's grown. Moving on. Okay, so that random Swedish person, great name. I will say, you probably notice everybody does the hand raising emoji. So anytime you have a question you want me to answer, use that emoji because it just helps me catch it out of the corner of my eye. Otherwise I can miss your question. I just happen to see it now. It says, what is it they want revenge for? We're talking about the revenge being the fact that these suitors are here. We're calling it revenge. It's frankly putting the palace to rights, but the hour of our revenge, the hour in which we get back at these suitors for everything that they've been doing here. Makes sense. Yeah, no worries. I know that I think you said this is your first one that you've made, so that's why you wouldn't know. That it was a thing that sort of happened naturally over the course of several book clubs, and I realized it was great because I could see it out of the corner of my eye, and it catches my attention. No one likes the suitors. Correct. The suitors suck. We hate them. They literally deserve to die for everything they've done. Aaron, it's okay. You're not that late. We've literally only gone 60-something lines. So you're not that late, I promise. Spear in hand, Telemachus strode out through the hall and out, and a pair of sleek hounds went trotting at his heels. And Athena lavished a marvelous splendor on the prince, so the people all gazed in wonder as he came forward. The swaggering suitors clustered, milling round him, welcome words on their lips, and murder in their hearts. But he gave them a wide berth as they came crowding in, and there, where Mentor sat, Antiphus, Halitherses too, his father's loyal friends from days gone by. He took his seat as they pressed him with their questions, and just then Piraeus, the gallant spearman, approached, leading the stranger through the town and out onto the meeting grounds. Telemachus, not hanging back, went right up to greet Theoclymenus, his guest, but Piraeus spoke out first. Quickly now, Telemachus, send some women to my house and retrieve the gifts that Menelaus gave you. Wait, Piraeus, wary Telemachus cautioned. We've no idea how all of this will go. The brazen suitors cut me down in the palace, off guard, and carve apart my father's whole estate. I'd rather you yourself or one of his friends here keep those gifts and get some pleasure from them. But if I can bring down slaughter on that crew, you send the gifts to my house, we'll share the joy. Their plans made, he led the wayworn stranger home, and once they reached the well-constructed palace, spreading out their cloaks on a chair or bench, into the burnished tubs they climbed and bathed. When women had washed them, rubbed them down with oil, and drawn warm fleece and shirts about their shoulders, out of the baths they stepped and sat on high-backed chairs. A maid brought water soon in a graceful golden pitcher, and over a silver basin tipped it out so they might rinse their hands. Then pulled a gleaming table to their side. A staid housekeeper brought on bread to serve them, appetizers aplenty too, lavish with her bounty. Penelope sat across from her son, beside a pillar, leaning back in a low chair and winding fine-spun yarn. They reached out for the good things that lay at hand, and when they'd put aside desire for food and drink, the queen, for all her composure, said at last, "Is Telemachus worried the sight of the gifts would spur the suitors to act now for murder plans?" Yes, and also he just doesn't want them to get these gifts. I mean, these were gifts from Menelaus and Helen. We've understood they are beautiful, very nice gifts. He's like, I don't want them taking that shit. Like, they're already like, look, there's nothing I can do about the shit that's in the house. Because if they take over and kill me, then they're gonna be taking the house. And everything that's in it. I would rather at least these few things get saved. These things that they don't know about. So he's just like, they won't get pilfered. He's like, I would rather they be given to like one of my father's friends, these people who we've mentioned, or you guys who have been loyal. Telemachus, I'm going back to my room upstairs and lie down on my bed. That bed of pain my tears have streaked year in, year out, from the day Odysseus sailed away to Troy with Atreus' 2 sons. But you never had the heart, before these insolent suitors crowd back to the house, to tell me clearly about your father's journey home, if you've heard any news. Of course, mother. Thoughtful Telemachus reassured her quickly. I will tell you the whole true story now. Minus some bits. we sailed to Pylos, to Nestor, the great king, and he received me there in his lofty palace, treated me well and warmly. Yes, as a father treats his long-lost son just home from voyaging years abroad. Such care he showered on me, he and his noble sons. But of strong, enduring Odysseus, dead or alive, he'd heard no news, he said, from any man on earth. He sent me on to the famous spearman Atrides Menelaus, and on with a team of horses drawing a bolted chariot. And there I saw her, Helen of Argos. All for her Achaeans and Trojans suffered so much hardship, thanks to the gods' decree. The lord of the war cry, Menelaus, asked at once what pressing need had brought me to lovely Lacedaemon. And when I told him the whole story first to last, the king burst out, "How shameful! That's the bed of a brave man of war they'd like to crawl inside, those spineless, craven cowards. Weak as the doe that beds down her fawns in a mighty lion's den, her newborn sucklings, then trails off the mountain spurs and grassy bends to graze her fill. But back the lion comes to his own lair, and the master deals both fawns a ghastly, bloody death. If only Father Zeus, Athena, and Lord Apollo, that man who years ago in the games at Lesbos rose to I got thrown by the L's. The Philomelides' challenge wrestled him, pinned him down with one tremendous throw, and the Argives roared with joy. Is the use of the term thanks to the gods' decree meant to affirm Telemachus doesn't blame or resent Helen in any way for Odysseus being gone at serious risk? We don't really know Telemachus' thoughts on the subject. So really, thanks to the gods' decree is saying like, hey, we know that essentially it's because of the gods that we have the golden apple incident, which led to everything else. So it's like trailing it all the way back to the golden apple incident, which is sort of what a lot of people look at as being the thing that ultimately would lead to the war at Troy. So he's saying like it's sort of in the hands of the gods. Like, look, the gods must have had this all planned. Something on that scale, you would sort of just make the assumption that the gods had this planned. But as for whether or not he might have a personal grudge against Helen, I don't think he does. By this point, we've seen how he's behaved with her, and it seems he wouldn't. Maybe he could have as a young kid, who knows? But we don't really talk too much on his thoughts specifically on Helen, but it does seem by saying, to the gods' decree, it's like saying it was in the hands of the gods. It was out of human hands by that point. Continue the book club once the Odyssey finishes. Yes, we're doing the Iliad after Odyssey. Was Argos used interchangeably with Achaean when referring to their place of origin, despite Argos being a kingdom of its own? No. No. So like saying Helen of Argos, you say Helen of Argos because Sparta is in the region of Argos. Argos is a city in its own right, but it's also a region. And she's sort of from around Argos and Lacedaemon kind of border each other. So saying Helen of Argos, she's from kind of the Argos region or where they are, which in addition is kind of within it. You have also Lacedaemon. So no, Achaeans, and it was saying Achaeans, Argives, Danaans, these are all different tribal names for the Greeks, and they often, I do believe, are sort of different areas of Greece, though Achaeans is sort of like mostly that whole kind of western side. You don't see them used interchangeably all that much. You would hear Argives instead of Achaeans, if you're going to start using different tribal names, essentially, for the Greeks. But Achaeans is the one you'll hear most commonly. So yes. And the Philomelides' challenge, we did talk about that. He was a king who would challenge everybody to wrestling, but Odysseus defeated him. We talked about that story. I can't remember in which book past, but I know we mentioned it. The Argives roared with joy. If only that Odysseus sported with those suitors a blood-wedding, a quick death would take the lot. But about the things you've asked me so intently, I'll skew and sidestep nothing, not deceive you, ever. Of all he told me, the old man of the sea who never lies. Does bloodwedding mean bloodbath? Yes, essentially. Yeah, a bloodbath. He would absolutely destroy them. I'll hide or hold back nothing, not a single word. He said he'd seen Odysseus on an island, ground down in misery off in a goddess's house. The nymph Calypso, who holds him there by force. He has no way to voyage home to his own native land, no trim ships in reach, no crew to ply the oars and send him scudding over the sea's broad back. Yeah, so Menelaus, the famous spearman, told me. My mission accomplished, back I came at once, and the gods sent me a stiff following wind that sped me home to the native land I love. His reassurance stirred the queen to her depths, and the godlike seer Theoclymenus added firmly, "Noble lady, wife of Laertes' son, Odysseus, Menelaus can have no perfect revelations. Mark my words. I will make you a prophecy, quite precise, and I'll hold nothing back. I swear by Zeus, the first of all the gods, by this table of hospitality here, my host, by Odysseus' hearth where I have come for help. I swear Odysseus is on native soil here and now. Poised or on the prowl, learning of these rank crimes, he's sowing seeds of ruin for all of your suitors. So clear, so true, that bird sign I saw as I sat on the benched ship and sounded out the future to the prince." "If only, my friend," reserved Penelope exclaimed, "everything you say would come to pass. You'd soon know my affliction, know my gifts. Any man you meet would call you blessed." And so the three confided in the halls, while all the suitors before Odysseus' palace amused themselves with discus and long-throwing spears. Does blessed mean blessed? Yes. Yes, it's a slightly more poetic, a little more archaic spelling of it. That's exactly what it means. Out on the leveled grounds, free and easy, as always, full of swagger. If the problem they had was not knowing if Odysseus was dead or alive, now knowing that he is alive but held prisoner on an island, what would that mean to him if, say, Odie couldn't get out? The problem is they would essentially need Menelaus to come to Sparta to say it himself. Well, they wouldn't doubt it would be the best thing you could do. And also, yes, while Proteus never lies, there was a point made that you can't find Calypso's island. So he could, at some point, essentially be declared forever lost. What do we do? And the thing is also, remember, we've heard from Eumaeus that people have constantly been coming to Penelope to tell her, hey, I saw Odysseus here, he's over here, he's doing this. Like, ultimately, Odysseus is still a question mark, right? Whether, which obviously, even though they believe this and they wish this, but even now you have, what's his name? Theoclymenus, who we know is part of the line of Melampus, he's a seer. He's telling her quite rightly, Odysseus is here on the island. He's going to be back soon. But she's at a point where she takes everything with huge grain of salt. Because, you know, she's had her heart broken so many times. She's had the false hope brought so many times. So now, essentially, they would say, okay, so where's Odysseus? You're still in a limbo, because, okay, he's alive, but he's not here, so who's in charge? Kind of a big question mark, and if he's not here, and even if he is alive, it does still mean they're vulnerable, right? You don't have a conclusive, like, okay, he's here, he's on his way, because all we've heard is he's trapped. He's trapped, and he has no way of getting out. Cool, that helps nobody. But we're not going to declare him dead. So what do we do? You're just kind of left with more questions and you have to figure stuff out. Like, you could announce it, but it would be like, so what does that change in the status quo right now? Not much. Did the ancient Greeks believe that their contemporaries could have the gift of prophecy? Was that only for mythological figures? There was an oracle at Delphi. Like, the oracle at Delphi was an actual person, an actual, you know, they would have women who were oracles. So you did have oracles. They were a thing. Now, these kind of characters claim to be from, like, a line of Melampus. Now, the thing about Melampus, he's a mythological figure. So Theoclymenus means he is also a mythological figure. Did they believe that people could have prophecy? Essentially, they were then considered, like, oracles. And they could read, you know, would interpret omens. It was absolutely a thing that could be done. Prophecies on the level of accuracy of shit like this is pretty much only seen in the mythology. But again, oracles were characters who existed, and you would go to temples usually associated with Apollo, perhaps even with Zeus, and you could try to get a prophecy from an oracle there. Ugh.
Did you want to come uppies? Or do you want to stay in your bed? Want to come uppies? Oh, you want to come uppies? Come on, uppies. Yeah, that's the baby. That's the baby. Oh, you want to sit over here? You can't take the whole chair, my lovely. But you can sit over here. Peg uppies. We love giving Peg the uppies. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay, Peg has her uppies. Excellent. All hail the queen, exactly. Ah. Da-da-da-da. When the dinner hour approached and sheep came home from pastures near and far, driven in by familiar drovers, Meldon called them all, their favourite herald, always present at their meals. My young lords, now you've played your games to your heart's content. Come back to the hall so we can fix your supper. Nothing's better than dining well on time. They came at his summons, rising from the games, and now, bustling into the well-constructed palace, flinging down their cloaks on a chair or bench, they butchered hulking sheep and fatted goats, full-grown hogs and a young cow from the herd, preparing for their feast. Sure, make yourselves at fucking home, why don't you? At the same time, the king and his loyal swineherd geared to leave the country for the town. Eumaeus, foreman of men, set things in motion. Friend, I know you're keen on going down to town today, just as my master bid, though I'd rather you stay here to guard the farm. But I prize the boy. I fear he'll blame me later. A dressing down from your master's hard to bear, so off we go now. The shank of the day is past. You'll find it colder with nightfall coming on. I know. I see your point. Are the suitors allergic to vegetables or something? The suitors are allergic to anything that's good for them, including scents and manners and propriety and just not being shitheads. So probably. I know. I see your point, the crafty man replied. There's sense in this old head, so let's be off. And from now on, you lead me all the way. Just give me a stick to lean on. If you have one ready cut. You say the road is treacherous and full of slips and slides. Oh, good night, Sergio. With that, he flung his beggar's sack across his shoulders, torn and tattered, slung from a fraying rope. Eumaeus gave him a staff that met his needs. Then the two moved out, leaving behind them dogs and herdsmen to stay and guard the farm. And so the servant led his master toward the city, looking for all the world like an old and broken beggar, hunched on a stick, his body wrapped in shameful rags. Down over the rugged road they went, till hard by town they reached the stone-rimmed fountain running clear, where the city people came and drew their water. Ithacus built it once, with Neritus and Polyctor. Round it a stand of poplar thrived in the dank soil, all in a nestling ring, and down from a rock ledge overhead the cold water splashed, and crowning the fountain rose an altar stone erected to the nymphs, where every traveller paused and left an offering. Here Dolius' son, Melanthius, crossed their path, herding his goats with a pair of drovers' help, the pick of his flocks to make the suitors' meal. As soon as he saw them there, he broke into a flood of brutal, foul abuse that made Odysseus' blood boil. Look, he sneered. One scum knows another scum along. Dirt finds dirt by the will of God. It never fails. Wretched pig boy, where do you take your filthy swine? This sickening beggar who licks the pots at feasts. Hanging around the doorpost, rubbing his back, scavenging after scraps. No hero swords and cauldrons, not for him. Hand him over to me, I'll teach him to work a farm, muck out my stalls, pitch feed to the young goats, wade a drink to put some muscle on his hams. Oh no, he's coming for the thighs. You did not say Odysseus had bad thighs. How dare you, Melanthius? Momentary pause of rage. How dare he come for Odysseus' thighs? We know how good his thighs are. Crimson red flag. Crimson red flag. Gotta die.
He's got to die just for that. Sorry, you cannot come for our man OD's thighs. It's the highest crime here. It does demonstrate how good Athena's disguise is. That is actually true. I know you're joking, Clover, but that's actually a good point. It is showing how good her disguise is. That he's just like, look at them thighs. There ain't nothing on them hams. And it's like, oh! Who does she think she is? Like, good God. How dare you? I know, we will not let the OD thigh slander slide. Trust me, Melanthius very much gets what's coming to him when we hit the slaughter. I know, very much pearl clutching. Who does she think she is? Anyway. Honestly, I do bet that old beggar Odysseus has better thighs than Melanthius. I'm just saying, never doubt the power of the OD thighs. Oh no, he's learned his lazy ways too well. He's got no itch to stick to good hard work. He'd rather go scrounging round the countryside begging for crusts to stuff his greedy gut. Let me tell you, so help me, it's the truth. If he sets foot in King Odysseus' royal palace, salvos of footstools flung at his head by all the lords will crack his ribs and he runs the line of fire through the house. Wild, reckless taunts. And just as he passed Odysseus, the idiot lurched out with a heel and kicked his hip, but he couldn't knock the beggar off the path. He stood his ground so staunchly. Yeah, there's a reason we call him an idiot. The word idiot is in the translation. I did not add that. Melanthius is a fucking idiot. He is begging for death at this point. Yeah, he's one to talk about greedy guts. Amen. Yeah, Melanthius, who the fuck are you to lecture? Like, fuck right off. You're the worst. Odie sturdy as an oak. It's the thunder thighs, man. He got them tree trunk legs. Don't doubt the legs. Don't doubt the legs. He got damn legs. Odysseus was torn. Should he wheel with his staff and beat the scoundrel senseless? Or hoist him by the midriff, split his skull on the rocks? Honestly, both options sound good, Odysseus. I'm just saying. He steeled himself instead, his mind in full control. Now, it's really great that we say here, he steeled himself instead, his mind in full control. Remember back to book 9 with the Polyphemus incident. Part of the whole thing with the incident was he ended up sort of not being in full control of himself. He really did not have control of his anger and his rage and everything else that he thought, and so he very stupidly doxed himself to a son of Poseidon, right? Versus here, where again, well, or even more so really, he's pretending to be someone else. But he knows who he is. He's far more confident in his identity. So this disguise, right, is not one that it is such that he doesn't lose his mind and doesn't lose control of the situation and doesn't lose a handle on himself. Versus in the Polyphemus cave where he lost complete control. And he, in that way, also forsook his own identity. We had to essentially build a new one from the ground up. This is the new Odysseus who's in control of himself. Who's, again, his kleos is tied to the completion of the Nostos. We're still completing the Nostos at this point. Yes, he's back on Ithaca, but everything is not set right. He's like, I'm not done yet. I can't fucking lose it here. Swallow it back. Revenge is the dish best served cold. I'm gonna deal with you later. But for now, we keep going. Right? Exactly. How often does we talk about thighs quite a bit. Thighs and feet get mentioned a lot. And it's actually very common because, especially in the Bronze Age, what imagery we have of what people wore. One, they often went around barefoot. A lot. I mean, shoes, sandals were a luxury if you were able to make them or perhaps barter for them. So people went around barefoot a lot. So you kind of just knew what people's feet looked like. It wasn't like a weird fetish. You just sort of knew. Like, the gams were out all the time. And as for the thighs, men especially wore basically short skirts, short shorts. Thighs were out. The thighs were out on display all the time with the men. Like, it's ridiculous how much they were showing. Like, absolute man salutes everywhere. They talk about feet too. Feet more in the beginning, and then they say like, oh, I recognize that foot shape, you must be related to, and it just like sounds very strange. But it's not. It makes total sense when you realize that, like, oh, everybody's just running around barefoot. If you were following a dude or you hung around with a dude, you'd see what his foot looked like, or you'd see his footprints. And after a while, you'd learn to recognize them. It's just, like, sounds strange to us, but remember, this is so ancient, and shoes were a luxury. Just like Mad waits for people to stop expecting retaliation in golf. It's true. I am petty in golf. Odysseus' thighs are a bonus in Penelope's mind. It's true. And again, any questions for me specifically that like you really want me to address? Hand raising emoji. Any other questions that you're just sort of posing generally in the chat? You don't have to put the hand raising emoji, but I might answer it if I happen to catch it. Where were we? Oh yes, mind in full control. But Eumaeus glared at the goatherd, cursed him to his face, then lifted up his hands and prayed his heart out. Oh, nymphs of the fountain, daughters of Zeus, if Odysseus ever burned you the long thighs of lambs or kids covered with rich fat, now bring my prayer to pass. Let that man come back. Some god guide him now. He'd toss to the winds the flashy show you make, Melanthius, so cocksure, always running around the town while worthless field hands leave your flocks to a shambles. Listen to him, the goatherd shouted back. I'll bark no bite from the vicious mutt. One fine day, I'll ship him out a black lugger mouse from Ithaca, sell him off for a good stiff price. Just let Apollo shoot Telemachus down with his silver bow today in the halls, or the suitors snuff his life out. As sure as I know the day the king's return is blotted out, that king is worlds away. With his parting shot, he left them trudging on and went and reached the royal house in no time. And yeah, that's brazen fucking language from this guy. Like, if he's a goatherd that serves this house, he's likely also a tolos. I mean, and while, again, we talked about how slavery in this time was very different from what we think of with, say, the 18th, 19th, like, American, European slave trade. Very different, but still. Bruh, you got the unbridled audacity of this man. And this is perfect. Again, Odysseus comes in as a beggar. Even another Tolos thinks, a Tolos thinks he's above this guy. So he's like, why do I need to treat him well? Odysseus is absolutely like, okay, I see who you are. I see you. Who's calling who a mutt? This is Melanthius, who's calling Eumaeus a mutt. And part of that is Melanthius is likely from Ithaca, but Eumaeus we know is not. We got his whole backstory, and it's part of why he's also saying, I'll ship you back out on a ship, like, fuck you. And it's just like, you suck. Like, it just absolute levels of fuck you, mate. Melanthius is awful. His sister is equally as bad. Remember, his sister Melantho, who we will meet, is the one who sold out Penelope to the suitors. They're a fucking treat, those siblings. What line are we on? We are just starting 279. Oh my God, Aaron, go get sleep. Please. Please go get sleep. The spitting is canon. I actually just added it. It felt appropriate, but it feels like it would be something he did. Not gonna lie. Missed question. There's a missed question. I did say what line we're on. Is there a question about that I missed? Because line we're on, we're just starting. Family giving Real House of Atreus vibes. No. Nah. I mean, look, the House of Atreus is something else entirely. They all suck. So again, the line that we're on, we're just starting 279. Okay, yeah, a friendly reminder this to those who might have difficulty with it. I did forget to remind at the start of this. This is the book where we see Argus Best Boy. And it's line 328, your question. Okay, it must be pretty far back. I totally missed it. If anyone has a question, what question? I don't see a question, Clover. Clover, I don't see a question. Clover, can you repeat the question? I missed it. And I don't see it in the chat. For some reason, it's not coming through on my chat. So yeah, Argus is coming in another
like 50 lines, I think. Yeah. I'm just waiting a second, waiting for Clover to repeat their question because it just did not come through on my end. I haven't seen your last filtered. I'm not in. Oh, maybe I am in top chat. I thought I had it in all chat. What the hell? Because the last question I saw is, yeah, that's the last question I see, is that does blessed mean blessed, which I answered. So I don't see any question after that. And if I go to live chat, I can't scroll all the way back. So yeah, Clover, can you just retype the question? Because I don't see it after the does blessed mean blessed, which I answer. I just copy pasted it into the chat. I don't see it at all. I don't see the question at all. It's not appearing. Yeah, and I'm on live chat. I don't see your question. YouTube might be filtering. Yeah, someone, can you throw it in Discord real fast? Do I have Discord on this computer? I do. Huh. Very strange. I was gonna say, I don't set up any filters on YouTube, so if it's filtering, it's something auto that YouTube's doing on its own. I know, Peg, I just don't, I could go up and get my iPad and do this faster, but I don't want to get up while Peg is snoozing so comfortably. It's filtering on YouTube's end. That's so weird, because I don't set any filters on the chat. Put it in the Odyssey Discord. Okay. Community moderation. Can I see if anything that it's maybe? Weird. All right, hold on. Sorry, my laptop is quite slow, so I'm getting Discord open so I can go into Odyssey Book Club and see your question. I wonder if it has to do with the word shooting. Does Apollo shooting Telemachus down refer to a specific type of death, like illness, or just a general hope he dies? Usually, when we talk about Apollo's arrows, we mean something like illness. But it is also absolutely, essentially, a wish for him to die. So it is equal parts a general death threat, but usually when you mention Apollo, you usually end up getting struck down with a sickness. And I'd wager that is the word that got you filtered. For some reason, even though obviously context-wise I understand. So yeah, that's getting filtered. But that's why usually you're specifically saying he'll get sick and die. Apollo's arrows, or silver arrows, or whatever they're called, are usually associated with disease. Well, we solved that mystery. It's kind of annoying. It doesn't tell you that it got filtered, because that would honestly save us all in the, yeah, he rains down arrows, it's an illness from the green cap. Exactly, in the Iliad, similar thing. Oh, here we go. With his parting shot, he left them trudging on and went and reached the royal house in no time. Slipping in, he took his seat among the suitors, facing Eurymachus, who favored him most. Oh, good, because that's absolutely the compliment I want. The carvers set before him his plate of meat. A staid housekeeper brought the man his bread. And now, at last, the king and a loyal swineherd, drawing near the palace, halted just outside as the lyre's rippling music drifted round them. Phemius striking up a song for the assembled guests, and the master seized his servant's hand, exclaiming, "Friend, what a noble house! Odysseus' house it must be. No mistake in it. You could tell it among a townful. Look, one building linked to the next, and the courtyard wall is finished off with a fine coping. The double doors are battle-proof. No man could break those down.
I can tell a crowd is feasting there in force. Smell the savor of roasts, the ringing lyre. Listen, the lyre that God has made the friend of feasts. Okay, Odysseus, complimenting your own handiwork. Nice, nice, nice. We see you. We see you. An easy guess. Who favors Eurymachus? Nobody favors Eurymachus. We're saying that Eurymachus favors Melanthius. Yeah, Apollo can shoot these nuts. So it's because he says, he took his seat among the suitors facing Eurymachus, who favored him most. So Eurymachus favors Melanthius. Probably because Eurymachus is a slimy, greaseballing, gaslighting asshole, and Melanthius is, well, awful. The question is whether the reference to Apollo's arrows is specifically hoping he catches illness or a general parrot. Or a general parrot. Yes. The question was specific as to whether it means, are we asking for a very specific type of death, or is this just a general wish of death upon Telemachus? It is both. Like, specifically, you're talking illness, but it does mean he's wishing death upon Telemachus, which is like, wow, my dude. Yeah, it's a good house. Whoever built this must be a genius. Look to camera. Wink. Freaking Odysseus. Look at my cool house. Man, I miss my house. Yeah, it's... Odysseus cannot help but pat himself on the back a little bit. Which, like, honestly, though, he's been away from home for so long. It's gotta be nice to see his house. He's like, God damn, I was good at this. It's just as great as I remembered. 20 fucking years I haven't been back. Eurymachus, Melanthius, Melantho competing on who's the slimiest. Ooh, yeah, that's quite a competition. They are, like, all of them, slimy. Like, snake oil salesman, slimy, awful. Have you no respect for the fourth wall? No, none. No respect for the fourth wall. Odysseus would be a type who never would respect the fourth wall. Oh my god. An easy guess, you said, Eumaeus, swineherd. For a man as keen as you at every turn. Put heads together. What do we do next? Either you're the first one into the palace, mix with the suitors, leave me where I am, or if you like, stay put, and I'll go first myself. Don't linger long. Somebody might spot you here outside, knock you down or pelt you. Mark my words. Take care. The man who'd borne long years abroad replied, well, I know. Remember, there's sense in this old head. You go in, you first, while I stay here behind. Stones and blows and I are hardly strangers. My heart is steeled by now. I've had my share of pain in the waves and wars. Add this to the total. Bring the trial on. There's no way to hide the belly's hungers. What a curse, what a mischief it brews in all of our lives. Just for hunger we rig and ride our long-benched ships out on the barren salt sea, speeding death to enemies. Now as they talked on, fair warning, this is the pupper moment for everybody who might have a hard time. Now as they talked on, a dog that lay there lifted up his muzzle, pricked his ears. It was Argos, long enduring Odysseus' dog he trained as a puppy once. The little joy he got since all too soon he shipped to sacred Troy. In the old days, young hunters loved to set him coursing after the wild goats and deer and hares. But now with his master gone, he lay there, cast away on piles of dung from mules and cattle, heaps collecting out before the gates, till Odysseus' serving men could cart it off to manure the king's estates. Why sacred Troy between Poseidon's? Yes, sacred Troy, yes, because both Apollo and Poseidon helped to build the walls. That's why. They are sacred walls. Infested with ticks, half dead from neglect, here lay the hound, old Argus. The moment he sensed Odysseus standing by, he thumped his tail, nuzzling low, and his ears dropped. though he had no strength to drag himself an inch toward his master. Odysseus glanced to the side and flicked away a tear, hiding it from Eumaeus. Why is Argus lying in the poo pile as opposed to anywhere else? As my servant laid him there, is he feeble enough he fell and he couldn't get out? He's being neglected. It's a parallel to the neglect of the palace, to the neglect of things that should be done and the proper care of things because Odysseus has not been there. He's being used as we would say, like the state of the kingdom reflects the state of the crown kind of thing. It's used a lot in literature. Argus is being reflected that way. He's, you know, they see Odysseus as like this, yes, he was great, our old king, but he's got to be thrown out now because he's not here. Like, he's not helpful to us because he's not here. In this case, Argus is a reflection of that. And, I mean, at this point, this would mean this dog is 20 years old. He likely is having a hard time moving, but he's also just being neglected. Right? Penelope and Telemachus aren't taking care of him. Likely they're having a hard time trying to. If they were to try, it could be maybe Argos doesn't let them. He is Odysseus. Because the thing is, as much as I would want to say why aren't they taking care of him, part of the thing is that Argus here is functioning almost more as a metaphor than he is an actual dog. It's unfortunately extremely painful because he is a dog. But don't get too lost in the why aren't they caring for him? Because right now he represents the kingdom. He is the home that Odysseus left behind. It has fallen into disrepair and into neglect because Odysseus was not there to manage things, right? So yeah. We're almost done. I swear, we've got like 30 more lines here. Okay. Diverting his friend in a hasty, offhand way. Strange, Eumaeus. Look, a dog like this, lying here on a dunghill. What handsome lines. But I can't say for sure if he had the running speed to match his looks, or he was only the sort that gentry spoil at table. Show dogs masters pamper for their points. You told the stranger Eumaeus, loyal swineherd. Here it's all too true. Here's the dog of a man who died in foreign parts. I did answer the sacred Troy question. It's sacred because the walls were built by Apollo and Poseidon. But if he had now the form and flair he had in his glory days as Odysseus left him sailing off to Troy, you'd be amazed to see such speed, such strength, could ever slip this hound. A champion tracker, too. He's run out of luck now, poor fellow. His master's dead and gone, so far from home, and the heartless women tend him not at all. Slaves with their lords no longer there to crack the whip, lose all zest to perform their duties well. Zeus the old thunderer robs a man of half his virtue the day the yoke clamps down around his neck. With that, he entered the well-constructed palace, strode through the halls, and joined the proud suitors. But the dark shadow of death closed down on Argos's eyes the instant he saw Odysseus, 20 years away. Sorry, Peg. I know you hate when I do that. I know. Sorry. Oh, that's the worst part. Worst part. Worst part. Oh, fuck. Ah, yes, thank you, Birchwood, for letting everybody know the moment is over. Everybody, hug your furry friends, your fur babies, whatever you got. Oh, so mean. Okay. Ugh. Okay. Okay. Now Prince Telemachus, first by far to note the swineherd coming down the hall, nodded briskly, called, and waved him on. Eumaeus, glancing about, picked up a handy stool where the carver always sat, slicing meat for the suitors, feasting through the house. He took and put it beside the prince's table, facing him, straddled it himself as a steward set a plate of meat before the man, and served him bread from trays. Right behind him came Odysseus, into his own house, looking for all the world like an old and broken beggar, hunched on a stick, his body wrapped in shameful rags. Just in the doorway, just at the ashwood threshold, there he settled down, leaning against the cypress post, a master joiner planed smooth and hung with a plumb line years ago. Telemachus motioned the swineherd over now, and choosing a whole loaf from a fine wicker tray and as much meat as his outstretched hands could hold, he said, "Now take these to the stranger. Tell him, too, to make the rounds of the suitors, beg from one and all. Bashfulness for a man in need is no great friend." And Eumaeus did his bidding, went straight up to the guest and winged a greeting. "Here, stranger, Prince Telemachus sends you these, and tells you to make the rounds of the suitors. Beg from one and all. Bashfulness for a beggar, he says, is no great friend." "Powerful Zeus," the crafty king responded, "grant that your prince be blessed among mankind, and all his heart's desires come to pass." Taking the food in both hands, setting it down, spread out on his filthy sack before his feet, the beggar fell to his meal, as the singer raised a song throughout the house. Once he'd supped and the stirring bard had closed, the suitors broke into uproar down along the hall. And now Athena came to the side of Laertes' royal son. If Argos is a metaphor for the kingdom and how it's neglected, why does he die? Isn't it the opposite of what happens to Ithaca in the end? No, he's the old king's dog. The thing is also that he is the old king's dog, the old Odysseus who went off and found his glory in Troy, that Odysseus no longer exists. It's also the case of you leave something for 20 years, and if it's something that's so fragile, it will pass away. Now Odysseus is now here to set things right, but also there's the fact that Argos recognized Odysseus. Even the changed Odysseus he recognized, and even in disguise he recognized Odysseus, and he could then find peace. He found peace in death. At this point, a dog that old, that neglected, death is a peaceful end. It's also signifying there will be death in the kingdom. There will be death in the kingdom. We're going to kill the suitors. It's going to be far more violent, as they fucking deserve. But it's... How does Xenia work with having a beggar ask everyone for scraps as opposed to offering him things directly? When you're saying he is allowed to beg, he's allowed to go to the other guests. Now, in this case, again, Tenya is not operating as it should in this house. Because if Tenya were operating the way that it should, these suitors would not be here. They wouldn't. They'd have left 3 years ago if Tenya were operating as it should. So what Telemachus is doing, I mean, Telemachus has given him a whole loaf of bread. He's given him a shit ton of meat. But also, let's remember, this is an undercover op under which, that Telemachus is in on. This is an undercover op. So rules get to be bent because we're also getting Athena to come down and essentially say, I'm sanctioning that you can do this, right? And again, this is a test to see just how bad everybody is and just like what is the state of everything. But that's why we say Athena's coming down to do this. Athena is the one And that is going to say, okay, here's what you're going to go do. So again, you're getting divine sanction to essentially bend rules. It's the only time that would work is if a god has come down and kind of told you this, in which case we have Athena, Zeus's favorite child, coming in and saying, look, here's what you're going to do, right? So yeah, and now Athena came to the side of Laertes' royal son and urged him, go now, gather crusts from all the suitors, test them, so we can tell the innocent from the guilty. Which, I mean, knowing the innocent from the guilty, they're all guilty. But it's more like, who do you want to murder first? That's really what she's saying here. It's not really like who's innocent and who's guilty, because everyone is guilty. Everybody needs to die. But she's saying, who do you want to kill first? Or who do you want it to be more painful for? Telemachus needs to keep an appearance of good Xenia with the suitors, so that raises no eyebrows and is considered good enough Xenia. Yes, it absolutely is considered fine Xenia, what he's doing. He's brought him into his home. He's allowing him to beg in his house, which bad Xenia would just be throwing him out. And what he's basically saying is, these guys want to act like they're masters of my house? Well, then go and beg at them. Still perfectly fine Xenia. He's sort of also subtly calling out the bad Xenia with the suitors. Agnes. First off, someone spray Agnes, number 1. 2. Lady Nancy Drew, you're here! Sliding on my knees. You made it! We're about to have some air quotes fun times with asshole suitors. Agnes. Thank you. Someone fire hose Agnes. You know he's not innocent. How many times are we going to have this discussion? He's not innocent. None of the suitors are innocent. Point blank period, when we enter the story, none of them are innocent. It never changes. Ever. Because let's go with the next line. But not even so would Athena save one man from death. It's been basically prophesied they're all gonna die. Still, off he went, begging from each in turn, circling left to right, reaching out his hand like a beggar from the day that he was born. They pitied him, gave him scraps, were puzzled too, asking each other, who's this? Where's he from? Till the goat heard Melanthius. Fucking Melanthius, who's just, digging his grave deeper. Shouted out in their midst. Listen to me, you lords who court our noble queen. I'll tell you about that stranger. I've seen him before. I know for a fact that swineherd let him in. Though I have no idea who the fellow is or where he thinks he comes from. At that, Antinous wheeled on Eumaeus, lashing out at him. Your Highness, swineherd, why drag this to town? Haven't we got our share of vagabonds to deal with? Disgusting beggars who lick the feasters' plates. Isn't it quite enough, these swarming crowds consuming your master's bounty? Must you invite this rascal in the bargain? Antinous, high-born as you are, you told the man, Eumaeus. That was a mean, low speech. Now who'd go out? Who on his own hook? Not I. Why address the Your Highness swineherd? Oh, it's sarcasm. It's absolute sarcasm. He's like, who are you to invite this man? Like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't realize you were the king here. It's 100% sarcasm. Absolutely sarcasm. Yeah, someone asking for, they all asking for a fucking slap. I mean, honestly, I'd beat the shit out of Melanthus. Ooh, Melanthus is the worst. Ooh. Well, he's not the worst. They're all the worst, but he just, Yeah, 108 free target practices lined up right here. In fact, even more technically when you include Melanthius, who's not a suitor, so 108 plus Melanthius and all of the disloyal staff. We've got quite a lot of free target practice roaming around here. Yeah, and it isn't even mean or dig when you know Eumaeus' backstory that he does come from nobility. Yeah, who died and made you king? Well, if he were back home. Why does Homer refer to Eumaeus in the second person? Oh, so gee, we talked about that back in... What book is Eumaeus brought in first? I think it's like book 15. It's 14 or 15 when we first meet Eumaeus, because he always refers to Eumaeus in the second person. We brought it up and talked about it there for why there's speculation as to why Homer does this. It's mostly trying to point out to you that one, Eumaeus is slightly different from all the tolos, the other slaves that are on the property, that are in the palace. I mean, one, he does have a highborn background, but that frankly doesn't matter when you become a tolos. But also that he is unique and he is special. He is incredibly loyal. He never wavers in his loyalty to the family of Odysseus, including even Odysseus' parents. You can find it. You'd have to go back, I think, to books. I think it might be book 14 where we had a whole talk about why he does the second person thing, specifically with Eumaeus. And he does do it in the Iliad as well. Here we go. Now who'd go out, who on his own hook, not I, and ask a stranger in from nowhere unless he had some skills to serve the house? A prophet, a healer who cures disease, a worker in wood, or even a God-inspired bard whose singing warms the heart. They're the ones asked in around the world. A beggar. Who'd invite a beggar to bleed his household white? You of all the suitors, are always roughest on the servants of our king. On me, most of all. Not that I care, no, so long as his queen, his wise queen, is still alive in the palace. Prince Telemachus, too. Stop, Eumaeus. Poised Telemachus broke in quickly now. Don't waste so much breath on Antinous here. It's just his habit to bait a man with abuse and spur the rest as well. Telemachus getting sassy. Telemachus getting sassy. Boy has matured. He getting sassy as fuck. He's just like, he ain't worth your breath. This is just Antinous being a fucking moron. It's like, clock him sass. Clock him sass. You wanna come uppies? Yeah, you got some water? Now you wanna come uppies? Yeah? Okay. Come on up to the uppies. Yeah, I give you space to turn around. Yeah. Oh, that's dear. You're a good girl joining the real suitors of Ithaca. Oh God, I know. Get his ass. Tell it. Yeah, it's like, what? Tell me, what do you do successfully? That's the energy Telemachus is giving, and frankly, it's the energy we need from him. This chapter is a ride and a half. It's so true. He wheeled on the suitor, letting loose. How kind you are to me, Antinous. Kind as a father to his son. Encouraging me to send this stranger packing from my house with a harsh command. I'd never do it. God forbid. Take and give to the beggar. I don't grudge it. I'd even urge you on. No scruples now. Never fear your gifts will upset my mother or any servant in King Odysseus's royal house. But no such qualm could enter that head of yours, bent on feeding your own face, not feeding strangers. Okay, mic drop. Okay, mic drop. Okay, mic drop. I know. You approve that? Ooh, she does. Peg approves the absolute mic drop of shut the fuck up and just keep stuffing your face, you dumbass motherfucker, please. I love Telemachus coming into his sass. That's our boy. That's our boy. Damn
Damn, Telemachus came into his sass. Take it after his mama. Because we heard Penelope read them the riot act in the previous book. That boy knew. That boy learned from his mama. Antinous countered the young prince in kind. So high and mighty, Telemachus, such unbridled rage. If all the suitors gave him the sort of gift I'll give, the house would be rid of him for 3 whole months. With that, from under his table, he seized the stool that propped his smooth feet as he reveled on, just lifting it into view. Like, bruh. But as for the rest, all gave to the beggar, filled his sack with handouts, bread, and meat. And Odysseus seemed at the point of getting back to his doorsill, done with testing suitors, home free himself, when he stopped beside Antinous, begging face to face. Give me a morsel, friend. You're hardly the worst Achaean here, it seems. The noblest one, in fact. You look like a king to me. So you should give a bigger crust than the rest, and I will sing your praises across the earth. I too once lived in a lofty house that men admired, rolling in wealth. I'd often give to a vagabond like myself, whoever he was, I would have a need and brought him to my door. Crowds of servants I had, and lots of all it takes to live the life of ease to make men call you rich. But Zeus ruined it all, God's will, no doubt, when he shipped me off with a roving band of pirates bound for Egypt, long, hard sail to wreck my life. There in the Nile Delta I moored our ships of war. God knows I ordered my trusty crews to stand by just where they were and guard the anchored fleet, and I sent a patrol to scout things out from higher ground. But swept away by their own reckless fury, the crew went berserk. They promptly began to plunder the lush Egyptian farms, dragged off the women and children, killed the men. Outcries reached the city in no time. Stirred by shouts, the entire town came streaming down at the break of day, filling the river plain with chariots, ranks of infantry, and the gleam of bronze. Zeus, who loves the lightning, flung down murderous panic on all my men-at-arms. No one dared to stand his ground and fight. Disaster ringed us round from every quarter. Droves of my men they hacked out with swords, let us off the rest alive to labor for them as slaves. Myself, they passed me on to a stranger come their way to ship me to Cyprus. Iasus' son Demeter it was, who ruled Cyprus then with an iron fist, and from there I sailed to Ithaca, just as you see me now, ground down by pain and sorrow. Good God Almighty! Antinous cut the beggar short. What spirit brought this pest to plague our feast? Back off. Into the open, clear of my table, or you'll land soon in Egypt, Cyprus, to break your heart. What a brazen, shameless beggar, scrounging food from each man in turn, and look at their handouts, reckless, never a qualm, no holding back, not when making free with the next man's goods. Each one's got plenty here. Pity. The wry Odysseus countered, drawing away. No sense in your head to match your handsome looks. You'd got a servant, a pinch of salt from your own larder. You who lounge at the next man's board, but lack the heart to tear a crust of bread and hand it on to me, though there's God's plenty here. Antinous cut off Odie from monologuing. Is this the real reason he was on the top of the kill list? Probably. He cut off the whole monologue, the whole spiel. It's like, bold of you to talk about handouts and taking food. Yeah, no, that's exactly what Odysseus says to him. He's like, wow, okay, pot, talking to kettle. I see you. And there's literally, yeah, anxiety leaves. That's literally what Odysseus basically says to him. He's like, interesting you'd say that. How fascinating. Yeah, he interrupted my yap. You die first. And frankly, Antinous is the one who's swaggering around the most.
Melanthius' crime, thigh slander. Antinous' crime, yap interruption. I mean, these are high crimes. Like, additional high crimes. That's why they're going near the top of the list. Yeah, pity. I love that bit. It's just like, the moment he says pity, you know Odysseus is going to snap back with something. Like, you know any character who does that when they've just been insulted, you know they're going to clap back with something. I'm just like, yes. Tell it to him. Odysseus. It's going to be so good. I want to hear it. And he's just like, no sense in that had to match your looks. He goes, oh, so you look good, but for what? You're useless. How dare you cut off my elaborate tragic backstory I'm making up on the spot? Exactly. How dare you? Taking a stool across the man's back. I know, with his stool. That's true. Like, let's remember all of the objects and stuff that Antinous is using in any way to physically threaten or intimidate Odysseus. These are Odysseus' own things. It's like, oh, brah. Oh, my dude, you're so screwed. Boiling over, Antinous gave him a scathing look and let fly. Now you won't get out of the hall unscarred. I swear, not after such a filthy string of insults. With that, he seized the stool and hurled it. Square in the back, it struck Odysseus, just under the right shoulder. But he stood up against it, steady as a rock, unstaggered by Antinous' blow. Okay, also just under the right shoulder. That would fucking hurt if you've never been, like, injured in kind of an area back there. It hurts like hell. I've been smacked by a tennis ball kind of around where they're saying, and, like, let me tell you, I don't want to get hit by a stool. Yeah, filthy string of insults, pot, kettle, and Odysseus takes it. He stands there, takes it. It's like, that to me would just clue me that something's going on. Like, something's up with this old dude. What do you mean he just stood there and took that and didn't flinch? Like, are you kidding? That to me would be so sus. I would be immediately sus. I'd be like, you know, I'm getting out of here. This guy seems weird. I just got a bad feeling. And let's, again, note how this is so egregious. Even more so because Antinous isn't even in his own house. Like, he's behaving so badly here. It's why he's number 1 on the kill list. Like, there's he gets up on the front of the kill list because of behavior like this. It's just like, wow, bruh, just dig yourself deeper. Dig yourself deeper. Steady as a rock, unstaggered by Antinous' blow. Just shook his head, silent, his mind churning with thoughts of bloody work. Back he went to the doorsill, crouched and setting down, his sack about to burst. He faced the suitors, saying, hear me out, you lords, who court the noble queen. I must say what the heart inside me urges. There's nothing to groan about, no hurt, when a man takes a blow as he fights to save his own possessions, cattle or shining flocks. But Antinous struck me, all because of my good-for-nothing belly. That curse that makes such pain for us poor men. But if beggars have their gods, and furies too, let Antinous meet his death before he meets his bride. And bitch, you number 1 on the list. You number 1 on the list. Does before he meets his bride mean before marrying Penelope, marrying general, setting eyes on Penelope again, something else? Just in general. He just means in general. Now, he's obviously, you can make the implication that given the situation, he means Penelope. What he really means is, like, this man is never getting married. I'm killing him before he gets a chance to marry anybody, because he's going to die within the next, like, 2 days. Like, he's just like, oh, you dead, motherfucker. You die first, and you die, I would say you die screaming, but he doesn't die screaming, he dies choking. It's great. Wrong millennium for popcorn? Yeah, no. Get the wine, get the olives, get the bread. I want to watch this. It's great. Yeah, just popping olives, drinking wine, just being like, damn, this is good shit. Yeah, One Winged Angel is suddenly playing in the background. That can't be bad. Anyway, the bloodline ends here. Yeah, it does. Enough, stranger, Antinous volleyed back. sit there and eat in peace, or go get lost. Or else, for the way you talk, these young men will hale you up and down the halls by your hands or feet until you're skinned alive. Again, bold. The fucking gall to say shit like this and threaten shit like this. Naked threats, as in out in the open. He's not even trying to be subtle or sneaky. But the rest were outraged, even those brash suitors. One would say to another, "Look, Antinous, that was a crime to strike the luckless beggar. You're free to sail if he's got some god from the blue. And the gods do take on the look of strangers dropping in from abroad. Disguised in every way as they roam and haunt our cities, watching over us. All our foul play, all our fair play too." Yeah, exactly. I feel a disturbance in the force. So the 1,000 bloodlines cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. Yeah, no, literally, that's about what's gonna happen. And this is, again, why is Xenia so important? And it's like almost ironic the suitors are saying this, going like, bruh, what were you thinking? He could be a god in disguise. Like, that is the whole thing with Tenya. With Tenya, it could be Teo Tenya. But it's ironic the suitors are saying that because they're breaking Tenya themselves, but they don't care. But seeing this, they go, "Oh shit, no, you shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that." It's like it's so ironic that this is happening. But it does also, we are emphasizing the level of depravity that is Antinous. Like, why does he have to die first? We're at this level of depravity. Even the other suitors are like, bruh. But don't ever let that mistake you that the suitors are therefore good people. No, they're not. They're just not, like, Antinous is just a new level of depraved among them, mainly because he just makes naked threats against a stranger, and they're like, bro, that could be a god in disguise. Again, like I said, you hit someone in that area in the back with the shoulders with a stool, and they stand there, they don't flinch, they don't make a sound, and they take it, I'll immediately sus, and I'm like, fuck, that's a god in disguise. You fucked. That hurts. Are you kidding? Like, oh my god. I never thought anyone could be worse than Paris, but you really are trying to prove me wrong, aren't you? God, it's so true. It's so true. Trying to find the right face to knock him off with. I mean, the thing is Antinous is kind of up there on, like, he is clearly able to corral the suitors, almost in many ways threaten them, and to, like, he has something that gets them to follow him. But even they are pointing out, like, bruh. Yeah, if they're willing to treat an unhoused old man like this, how would they treat Penelope if they got to marry her? How would they treat the kingdom to run it? Because let's remember, as they say, there are beggars in Ithaca. There could be Ithacans. Like, these are still essentially your citizens who you're ruling. Like, what kind of fucking king would you be? A terrible one. A terrible one. It's also, all the other servants could look at it going, how the fuck would we get treated? The Doloses would be so distressed. Yeah. Anybody else with tuned brain cells would be like, it was in this moment he knew he'd fucked up. Except Antinous doesn't know that he's fucked up. Yeah. Off, and in comes Telemachus with the steel chair. Oh, yeah, no, it's just like, oh my god. Yeah, he's the biggest bully, not the smartest. He is devious. I mean, he does initially come up with that plan to waylay Telemachus on the sea, which unfortunately is not a terrible plan. I hate to admit that it's not a terrible plan, but it is But he has a temper. It's pretty clear he has a temper. And he's also, I mean, he's just a raging asshole. Who's he treating this way? Someone he sees as so wholly beneath him. So beneath him. He's like, you are not worth the air you breathe beneath him. The audacity of the man. Hubris is alive and well, yes. Anyway, so they warned, but Antinous paid no heed, and the anguish welled up in Telemachus's breast for the blow his father took. Yet he let no tears go rolling down his face. He just shook his head, silent, his mind churning with thoughts of bloody work. But then, when cautious Penelope heard how Antinous struck the stranger there in the halls, she cried out with her serving women round her, May Apollo the archer strike you just as hard. And her housekeeper, Eurynome, added quickly, if only our prayers were granted, then not one of the lot would live to see Dawn climb her throne tomorrow. Eurynome, don't worry, girl, you can only wish. Penelope saying I hope they D-word for, yes, I hope they cease to live. Yeah, she's like, I essentially hope you get ill. Like, I hope you, and it may not always kill you, because sometimes you survive disease, but it's really, I hope you fucking suffer for that shit, but also, yeah, no, she wants them to die. Rightfully so, don't blame her. I would too. Yeah, pop off, queen. Dear old woman, alert Penelope replied. They're all hateful, plotting their vicious plots, but Antinous is the worst of all. He's Black Death itself. Here's this luckless stranger, wandering down the halls and begging scraps, hard pressed by need. And the rest all give this man his fill of food, but that one gives him a footstool, hurled at his right shoulder, hits his back. While she exclaimed among her household women, sitting there in her room, Odysseus bent to supper. Penelope called the swineherd in and gave instructions. Why doesn't physical violence to the Princess Gas not cross the line and get him kicked out? I know they kind of can't kick him out, but still feels like crossing. It is crossing a line. It is crossing a line. He should get kicked out. Again, the problem is that we're still in a limbo status. And right now, Telemachus is letting it happen. He doesn't want to. He hates that he has to let it happen. Right now, he's letting it happen because this is all a part of the plan. It's all a part of the plan. But yeah, they're going to be kicked out from life. Normally, this would never stand. This, like, understand what we're witnessing now is not normal. Like, this is not normal. Nothing of what's happening here is normal. That's kind of the point. Everyone who would be like ancient Greece, they're all sitting there listening to this get told, they'd be shook. They'd be sitting there going, like, what the fuck is happening? Odie, you need to get going. Like, we are really just adding to the whole, like, man, Odie, you gotta take care of these motherfuckers. Like, oh my God, can't wait to see Odie destroy them. Like, we're adding, and this is all about building tension, building the expectation and the anticipation for the moment they are gonna get their due, right? Yeah, they are also showcasing how inferior they are to someone like even Telemachus, the proper royal prince and the king, Odysseus, because they would never behave this way. It's showcasing how incorrect they are for the position they're trying to take, how none of them are worthy of taking this spot. None of them are worth anything. Yeah, the audience in ancient Greece would be like, oh! I mean, the audacity that is being shown here is so egregious. Like a Looney Tune villain thinking they're gonna one-up. Yeah, pretty much. But the best part is they don't realize they've even got Bugs Bunny in the house. Yeah, may all your bacon burn. Yeah, if Zeus were not in on this whole plan, Telemachus would just have to be like, Zeus, help me out, please. He wouldn't even have to, like, this kind of thing, they would all just be like, oh, you're fucked. You're so fucked. Especially because, as they're pointing out, right now, they're all concerned this could be a god in disguise. Like, that was a valid, in their minds, thought and fear. That's the whole thing with Terzenia. But, like, Zeus would just be like, oh no. Like, this would come back to bite you in some way. And here's the thing. It may not be immediate, but it's gonna come back to bite you. This kind of behavior. As it will in this story. And yeah, and you insulted his thunder thighs. I mean, Melanthius, you on the... Trust me, guys, when I tell you, if you don't know already, Melanthius gonna get got good. There's an extremely painful punishment awaiting Melanthius. Fear not. Fear not. Penelope called the swineherd and gave instructions. Go, good Eumaeus. Tell the stranger to come at once. I'd like to give him a warm welcome. Ask the man if he's heard some news about my gallant husband or seen him in the flesh. He seems like one who's roved around the world.
My queen, you answered, Eumaeus, the loyal swineherd. If only the lords would hold their peace a moment. Such stories he tells. He'd charm you to your dips. 3 nights, 3 days I kept him in my shelter. I was the first the fellow stumbled onto, fleeing from some ship. Wouldn't it be considered improper for Penelope to invite a man to a room even with her servants there? If she has her servants there, and as long as these men will crack jokes.
But we know that it's been a thing where she has wanted to hear tell of her husband, right? And this would be Eumaeus would come out and he would say, hey, Telemachus, this is what's happening with your mom. The door would be open, the serving women would be there. It would not be considered super improper, mainly because right now we know this is a thing she has done, where she's so desperate for news about her husband. And right now, given the egregious behavior he just got from Antinous, they would be like, she's trying to apologize, set him up comfortably, especially because Telemachus isn't stepping up to do anything, which obviously we know he's doing it on purpose. And trust me, Penelope's gonna have a moment where when she meets Telemachus and after hearing about all this, she's gonna be like, motherfucker, you let them do what in our house? Like, she's trying to essentially correct and apologize for what's being done. In this case, it would not be seen as too strange. All of her serving women are there, and she's in fact asking Eumaeus, the most loyal of all of Odysseus' servants, to do this. So it's a sign that there's nothing to fear. She's asking Eumaeus, the guy who has never for 1 nanosecond ever thought to betray Odysseus and the royal family, any of them. So it's like, it's all on the good because she's doing it in the proper way. Wouldn't Telemachus not calling out to Zeus be another massive red flag to suitors that something deeper was going on? You'd think. But then we can remember back to book 2 when we had the whole quorum where he just said, I'm going to go off on these adventures. I'm calling out your bad behaviors. Stay at your own risk. Like, you all better be gone when I get back. At this point, they have so beyond stopped caring. And they are so arrogant enough to think like Telemachus is full of hot air that you'd think it would be a red flag. But again, they all seem to be colorblind to the color red. Yeah, this would require the suitors to have critical thinking skills. Yeah, which all of them lack in abundance. It's absurd. Brainy flirting. Yeah, that fucking nobody was John Wick. Ah, nice. I see you. I see that. Where were we? Here we go. You know how you can stare at a bard and wonder, trained by the gods to sing and hold men spellbound. How you can long to sit there listening all your life when the man begins to sing. So he charmed my heart, I tell you. Huddling there beside me at my fire, he and Odysseus' father go way back, he says. Sworn friends, and the stranger hails from Crete, where the stock of old King Minos still lives on. And from Crete he made his way, racked by hardship, tumbling on like a rolling stone until he turned a pier. He swears he's heard of Odysseus, just in reach in rich Thesprotian country, still alive, laden with treasure, heading home at last. Why is there yeah. Oh, hi, Peg. Go, the cautious queen responded. Call him here so he can tell me his own tale, face to face. Our friends can sit at the gates or down the halls and play their games, debauched to their heart's content. Why not? Their own stores, their bread and seasoned wine lie intact at home. Food for their serving men alone, but they infest our palace day and night. They butcher our cattle, our sheep, our fat goats, feasting themselves sick, swilling our glowing wine, as if there's no tomorrow. All of it squandered. No, there's no man like Odysseus in command to drive this curse from the house. Dear gods, if only Odysseus came back home to native soil now, he and his son would avenge the outrage of these men like that. What is the Thesprotian country? It's just like a different island, different area.
Just a different part of Greece. Well, not even Greece, actually. It might be Asia Minor. I think it's an island. I can't remember. We talked about it. It's just like a different place they've all heard of. And they're like, oh, he's off having adventures here. Like, he's on his way back. He's got treasure. Like, he went a-raiding a bit. Just not that unusual. But at least that he's in a place where we've heard of him and got news of him. At her last words, Telemachus shook with a lusty sneeze like a thunderclap resounding up and down the halls. So, you might wonder, why in the heck are we talking about, yay, Telemachus sneezed? Who cares? So, the ancient Greeks, catch this, regarded sneezes as omens because there's things you cannot prevent and there are things you can't control when they come on. So obviously they are the work of a god, right? So this is being taken as an omen, the fact that he sneezed. So that's, again, Homer's building up all of the anticipation. He's building the tension and the anticipation of all signs point to you're fucked. Like, but I do love the sneeze gets this whole poetic line, but it is because it's being regarded as an omen by the ancient Greeks, which is pretty wild. The queen was seized with laughter, calling out to Eumaeus winged words. Are most of the suitors actually there to marry Penelope, or just take advantage of the palace while they can until a new king is chosen? Both. Like, they are actually there. They would like to be chosen. It's a good position of power to have, but if they don't, well, they're taking advantage of everything. So it's a mix of both. Anticipation. Yes. Quickly, go. Bring me this stranger now, face to face. You hear how my son sealed all I said with a sneeze. So, let death come down with grim finality on these suitors, one and all. Not a single man escape his sudden doom. And another thing, mark my words, I tell you. If I'm convinced that all he says is true, I'll dress him in shirt and cloak, in handsome clothes. Off the swineherd went, following her instructions, made his way to the stranger's side and winged a word. Our friend, our queen, wise Penelope, summons you, the prince's mother. The spirit moves her now, heartsick as she is, to ask a question or two about her husband. And if she's convinced that all you say is true, she'll dress you in shirt and cloak. That's what you need, that most of all. Now, bread you can always beg around the country. Fill your belly well. They'll give you food, whoever has a mind to. Also, in the fact that she can hear Telemachus means that she's probably in not quite her most private inner rooms. She's in like a ladies' sewing room, if you will, like a drawing room, like an equivalent. So she's in the room where ladies would sort of gather. She's not out hanging in the main hall with the men. So as much as she isn't going to my rooms, she clearly doesn't mean her most private rooms. These are like, this is where the women hang out and do womanly things. Just FYI, I realized in relation to the question, it was like, oh my God, is it weird that she's inviting him? It's like, it might be a little strange that she's asking a man to come in, but if she's saying, I want information, she's in these rooms that are not like super private rooms, but they're like women hangout centrals. I don't know how to describe them. Not a single man escape. Penelope is so done with these fuckers. It's so great. Gladly, Eumaeus, the patient man replied. I'll tell her the whole truth and nothing but, Icarius' daughter, your wise queen, Penelope. I know all about that man. It's been my lot to suffer what he suffered. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I fear the mob's abuse, those rough young bucks, their pride and violence hit the iron skies. Just now that scoundrels I went down the halls, harming no one, up and dealt me a jolting blow. And who would raise a hand to save me? Telemachus? Anyone else? No one. So tell Penelope now, anxious as she may be, to wait in the halls until the sun goes down. Then she can ask me all she likes about her husband's journey home. But let her give me a seat close by the fire. The clothes on my back are tatters. Well, you know, you are the first I begged for care and shelter. Back the swineherd went, following his instructions. Penelope, just as he crossed her threshold, broke out, Didn't you bring him? What's in the vagrant's mind? Fear of someone. Embarrassed by something else? Here in the house? Is the fellow bashful? A bashful man will make a sorry beggar. You answered your queen, Eumaeus, loyal swineherd. He talks to the point. He thinks as the next man would. He wants to dodge their blows, the brutal crew. He tells you to wait here till the sun goes down. It's better for you, my queen. Then you can talk with the man in private, hear the stranger's news. Nobody's fool, that stranger, wise Penelope said. He sees how things could go. Surely no men on earth can match that gang for reckless, deadly schemes. So so Clover, that question. How much does Penelope suspect? I think there's absolutely a kind of ember of hope more than suspicion. Because, I mean, she's now been told by a guy who is from the line of Melampus that, hey, your husband's here in Ithaca. She might be hoping. But does she fully suspect? We don't actually know. A lot of people will say no, she has no idea. In the who would save me line, no. It's not going to be no one. Because Autius is only brought out in the Polyphemus encounter because it's about stripping identity. You would never bring that back in a situation like this, Agnes, so it's not. But does Penelope suspect that this is Odysseus? Now, when she talks with him, it seems that she might at least potentially suspect if this is not my husband, it's a god in disguise. Right now, she has nothing to kind of base a suspicion on. But she's like, okay, he's not a fool. All right. Like, okay, he's got sense to him. That's all she's pretty much thinking right now. Right? So she agreed, and now, mission accomplished, back the loyal swineherd went to mix with the suitors. Moving next to the prince, he whispered a parting word, their heads close together so no one else could hear. Dear boy, I must be off to see to the pigs and the whole farm. You're living, mine as well. You're the one to tend to all things here. Look out for your own skin first. Do take care. You mustn't come to grief. Crowds of your own countrymen plot your death. Let Zeus wipe out the lot before they kill us all. Right you are, old friend, the canny prince replied. Now off you go, once you've had your supper. But come back bright and early. Bring some good sound boars for slaughter. Yes. I'll tend to all things here. I and the deathless gods. And the swineherd sat down again on his polished stool, and once he'd supped and drunk to his heart's content, back he went to his pigs, leaving the royal precincts still filled with feasters, all indulging now in the joys of dance and song. The day was over. Dusk was falling fast.
And in the next round, we'll get to have Penelope and Odysseus, while in disguise, meeting to talk. That is the end of book 17. She doesn't know he's not who he claims to be. She doesn't know who he is at all, Birchwood. So it's like, really, she has no ideas at all. She's just like, okay, he's a clever guy. A beggar could be clever. She's not discounting the idea that a beggar could not be a man who understands a situation. You'd think they would have to be, right? Applause. Aw. Thank you, Clover. I try to make it accessible. I do my best. But yeah, so no, she doesn't have any idea who this guy is. In her mind, he is just a beggar. He's just, okay, he's a beggar who understands the situation when presented with it. I mean, you'd think that would kind of make sense, given you have to kind of be able to read people in a way. Why did the Penelope line catch you by surprise? We know she hates these guys. She doesn't want any of them spared. Agnes, come on. Agnes. I know that dusk was falling fast. It's like, ooh, I'm ready. We're ready. Yeah, she's definitely intrigued. She's like, oh, he's sensible. Okay. Can't wait to talk to him. She's just curious. She's intrigued. Oh my God, Valko. Maybe she even got reminded of her husband. We don't know. There's no reference to it, so probably not in this moment. Oh, you're welcome. Our random Swedish person. I'm glad. It is fun and cozy. We've had a lot of fun. There have been some wild accents that I've done over this, and they're all probably deeply offensive to whoever is from regions or areas or countries that have those accents, but that's fine. We did it, guys. We survived. Oof. Dusk of their lives is approaching fast. Oh, it's true. No, truly, I don't get people who say the Odyssey's boring. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? We have drama, we have sass. I mean, yes, there's all the adventures and shit, but frankly, the interpersonal drama, oh my god, it's like, give me my popcorn. Best accent, 100% Hermes. Honestly, the fact that she's like, here's a stranger and a stranger with sense, and she's hearing that from Eumaeus, and then, you know, Odysseus does that bit, she's like, oh, thank God, someone I can at least have a conversation with. Oh no, anxiety leaves. What'd you say? August. Okay, wow. Anxiety leaves. Why? 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 Yeah, some people don't want to read. They want to be spoon fed. True. True. There is that. And like, while I can't say, I could understand people who say the Odyssey is intimidating. I can understand if it feels inaccessible. There's a lot of cultural stuff that's lost to the modern reader because it was a completely different culture. It was being composed and then later written down at a time where this stuff, well, yeah, they're writing about something that's happening a couple hundreds of years before them, but it's like still reasonable enough that they're like, yeah, no, we get the cultural shit. Well, we don't. We're thousands of years removed from it. So it helps to like get the cultural context and suddenly it starts making more sense. Joke's on you, I like water. We're just hydrating anxiety leaves, guys. Yeah, they are both extremely clever. They are so perfect for each other. Oh, Clover. Oh, that's so sweet, Clover. I can't. That's so sweet. But the Greeks have considered Troy to be World War I. I frequently compare Troy to World War I. It is truly to them, that was the war to end all wars. And if you think about it, even in terms of like, say, we'll transpose the timeline of World War I, you have prior to that Seven Against Thebes. That's like the American Civil War. Closest they got to something where, because that was Greeks fighting Greeks. You know, and it was literally brother fighting brother. And 14 different houses, well, really 13, because it was Polynikes and Polynikes and Eteocles, I believe, were brothers. So you have 13 houses that essentially have a whole generation wiped out, similar to the American Civil War. Then you get Troy, which is like World War I. A war on a scale they had never seen, and it just wipes out a generation. Really. It ruins a generation and everybody comes messed up. I think World War I is kind of an interesting and I think apt comparison when you're trying to think of like the effect that would have upon the psyche. Yeah, just like how a Greek tale meant for a Greek audience in the same way that Shakespeare can be intimidating. And also there's the fact that the good comparison to Shakespeare's, both of these were meant to be performed orally. You're meant to listen to them. Like somebody's supposed to be making it entertaining. They are supposed to be delivering it to you. Same with Shakespeare. Like the best way if you ever struggle with Shakespeare is, I always say, like if you're by yourself, stand up, like get yourself in motion, moving. You can pace, you can do whatever, and read it aloud. Act it out like you're on stage. Suddenly you start going like, oh, that's what that guy is saying, because you can hear tone. Yeah, like World War I, alliances, dominoes, many lands, atrocities. Yeah, World War I is a great comparison, I think, for the war at Troy. Just like on a kind of overarching view. True, yeah, culture shifted so much faster between Shakespeare's time and now than they did between the era Homer is describing and the era he lived in. Absolutely. Ah, yes, Jane Austen's the same way. I mean, she's writing contemporary novels for her time. Everything she's writing about is, by the way, for those who've never gotten Jane Austen, like some of the most cutting examinations of class and gender and everything else of her time. Like, ooh, she spares no one. Her observations are
absolutely on the nose, and she's got fucking thoughts and opinions, and they are buried or not really buried, they are woven within these sort of society novels that are contemporary to their time. But ooh, she had some cutting criticisms of the society of her time, and you can find that in all her books. She's one of the greatest for a reason. Oh my god, yeah, no, for real. I don't care if it's not fair. I don't know how anybody could read Emily Wilson's translation and find it fun and enjoyable. I've never seen somebody take a story that's got so much going on with it and so much poetry and emotion and make it feel dry. It does. It's very dry when she took it. The Greeks will and always have been fighting. Yeah, that's true. They've always been fighting each other. Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. We should do Jane Austen book clubs like this someday. We can totally do that after we've run through a whole bunch. Like, we can absolutely make this a book club that's like various pieces of classic lit. I can do my best. Now, while I probably can't do Jane Austen the same level of justice that I could something like the Odyssey and what have you, I mean, I like reading aloud is fun. Yeah, exactly. World War I comparison when you add the real world context of the Bronze Age collapse. Absolutely. Yeah, it's true. World War I wiped out a generation. It also is the downfall of essentially you could say that was when the old world died. These old imperial kingdoms, the empires. The age of the imperial empire kind of died with World War I. I mean, the British Empire was never the same. The French Empire, the Austro-Hungarian, like the idea of Germany, like all these things, it died with World War I. We already attempted Phantom of the Opera last night. Yes, that's true. We did do Phantom of the Opera a couple chapters of it. Can we also vote on the books? Yes. I mean, I know we have Iliad next, but then what comes after Iliad, I will put up like a poll for what people want to do. There have been some suggestions. We'll still be following at that point with like classical myth kind of related stuff, whether we do the Argonautica or the Aeneid or, dive into some of the plays, what have you. But yes, absolutely. Ooh. Oh yeah, imagine him winking at the audience while acting the tragedy. And I think whoever performed it, I think you could just have so much fun because Odysseus is a fun character and there's a lot of fun to be had. I mean, you see me, I love reading the suitors as the asshats that they are. Like, I gave Melanthius the most obscene hick shithole accent because he's a dick and he doesn't deserve like a good like speaking voice. He should sound like some uneducated twat. Like, absolutely. Because he is. He's an uneducated, just like shithead. Like, who are you to say this shit? Although I did think I had initially said I would try and do a Torbeck impression, but that would honestly blow my throat. So I'm like, no, I can't keep trying to blow my throat every time. But yes, does anybody have any remaining questions on book 17 specifically, or even books 1 to 17, or even just sort of some Greek myth questions in general? I can answer those to the best of my ability. Okay, you over there. Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score. He's got an interesting voice, Torbeck. I can't. It would blow my throat if I tried to do all of that. Dude, real. Melanthius is awful. He's so awful. It's like, where the fuck do you get off? Who at this point knows that Odysseus is back? Telemachus. Telemachus is the only one who knows at this point. It's Telemachus. And yeah, Athena knows, obviously, but like, it's only Telemachus right now. Eumaeus doesn't know. Torbeck doesn't understand the socio-political implications of overthrowing the king of Ithaca. Winking at the audience every few steps. Oh, yeah, I could imagine if anybody ever did like a proper play of the Odyssey, like, I would lean into the fun of that. Like, honestly, I would totally have the play be him breaking the fourth wall the whole time. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can send a link in here. Gee, you said you put it in the Discord though? That's awesome. Technically, someone else does know Mad. Okay, we're not talking about Argus, okay? He knew. He knew. None of that. It would be a comedy, but then also as long as you can balance with the tragedy. Because like I say, one thing to remember, one of the big things that's in the Odyssey is we're still talking about surprising Penelope. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, yeah. Obvious. Okay. Fair. I thought it was pretty obvious. Odysseus himself knows that he's here. Like, come on now. But one thing to remember about the Odyssey, one big theme that plays through it is grief. Grief is huge in the Odyssey. I mean, from book 1 onward, grief, trauma, the effect of war upon those who survive it, and including those who are left at home. Like, that's a huge theme of the Odyssey and rolls all the way through. I mean, as we say, the Iliad is about war. It's about man at their worst. It is a profoundly sad story, the Iliad. And it is showcasing you the horror of war. And then you come, and this is the fallout of the war. So Homer, you know, if you believe Homer was just a singular person or whatever, whoever composed these are two, I think, some of the earliest anti-war pieces, because they're showcasing, like, war just destroys everything, including the people who are in it, and even if they survive, they come back changed. Are there not guards at the palace to keep the suitors in check, at least stop the violence? There are, but only so many. The issue is the violence is not being perpetrated against the royal family. That's the big thing. Like, they have not physically hurt Telemachus, they have not physically harmed Penelope, and even their scheming was done in relative private, and they were going to waylay Telemachus not on the island, which was a huge thing. This violence against the beggar, this would be up to the host to step in and be like, whoa, watch it. What the fuck? I'm gonna kick you out. But the guards are like, well, if there are, you know, what guards or sentries there might be there, which there are only so many, they're like, okay, well, we didn't get ordered to do anything, so what do you want us to do? Oh, good. I'm glad the hose is on. Good. Agnes. We had this conversation. Agnes, I'm not gonna lie. I get really surprised that you seem to forget, even when we said, yes, she likes his manners. It doesn't mean she likes him as a person. It doesn't mean she doesn't want him dead and want him gone. I'm just like, we've said this. We've discussed it in book club many times. I'm just so surprised that it's like your brain just sort of likes to delete that detail from your memory. Like, she has no love for any of these people. Tolerating the way a person speaks does not mean you like them. It doesn't mean you don't want them dead in this context. Come on now, Agnes. Agnes? Knocking at the door of Agnes. Hello? Come on now. Spritz, spritz. No one made an Odyssey. Honestly, an Odyssey game, it would be so interesting because you'd have to do so many things. You have to be able to manage your conversation. Like, if you do it keeping super accurate, you have to be able to navigate all the political shit. Then yes, you have the adventures, right? And some of them you'll realize you're forced to lose. Like, there's no winning in the Scylla encounter, right? There's so many of these where you're forced to essentially lose. But then also, again, you could then switch it up, and all the stuff on Ithaca is very political, very sneaky, very much based on how do you speak to other people. It's very important. The gamesmanship is so good. And that's what I think sometimes gets lost, is the amount of political gamesmanship that goes on, especially in the Ithaca storyline. And not just by Odysseus, but by Telemachus and by Penelope, is stellar. Delulu is not the Salulu, correct. No, the Ithaca storyline is so great. It's also notoriously, at least the front half of it, the most difficult to when you're doing an adaptation. Because obviously the epic poem opens in media res, we open on Ithaca, but it's like that's not always a structure that will work for other mediums. That's why I jokingly call it the Telemachus problem. Like the first 4 books, the Telemachia, and then coming into some of this other stuff, it's like it's really hard in doing adaptation to balance how, like, do you include it at all? If you do, how do you shift the timeline? If you shift the timeline, it's very difficult to adapt. So I'm always curious how people do that. That's a part I always look at going, I wonder. Because it is just so notoriously difficult. Oh, Izzy, go to sleep. Get some sleep. Peg, don't lick your feet. I saw that. Izzy, Agnes, do we need to tell you to go to sleep? Go the fuck to sleep. Izzy, you're gonna need sleep. You need you some sleep. Worst person, yeah, the worst person you know can speak prettily. Absolutely. Absolutely. And even then, frankly, Amphinomus doesn't speak that pretty. Amphinomus, I was describing, he's the typical nice guy, right? He's the nice guy, which means he's not nice. He's not kind, and he's not a good person. We all know that stereotypical nice guy. I know. Yeah, she does it sometimes just to get my attention, I'm convinced. But also the weather is changing, so it's getting dry. So that's likely part of it. The tempting toe beans. You took your Apoquel, so I know it's not your allergies. Oh, golf with friends? You're welcome. You're gonna hate us. Don't worry. It's the most wonderfully hilarious and entertaining and also rage-inducing game you will ever play. It's great. Especially when you play with other people and there's the chaos of like collision and everybody running into each other. It's so fun. In my defense, I'm in bed and the lights are off. Okay, there is that, but Izzy, maybe that's the time you push the phone or whatever away and you just close your eyes and listen. Just listen. Because then you might fall asleep. Aha. Daddy, won't you give me a hug? Just give me a hug. Exactly. In my outrageous accent. Yes, my terribly offensive French accent. Yeah, there are many insults hurled while we play golf. Yeah, for those who don't know, we're talking about golf with friends or golf with your friends. I just call it golf with friends. Which is hilarious to play with everybody because I am notoriously petty while playing it. Like, because there's no stakes. It doesn't matter who wins, right? Like, there's no stakes to the game. So if you run into me, whether or not you mean to, I'm like threatening your bloodline and saying I'm gonna burn your house down. Like, I get so spicy and petty because there's just like, there's no point. Like, I'm not actually gonna do anything. And it's just like, it so doesn't matter. And that's why I am spicy. But I gave you that awesome wine that one time. Great, it was delicious. That doesn't entitle you to anything. Yeah, Amphinomus is the typical nice guy who thinks he's entitled. And he does seem to believe himself morally superior to everyone around him by the way that he speaks and behaves. And it's just like, bro, you're not. You're not. You're not. Yeah, it's funny rage, not rage. Yes, my hoodie, yes. Yes, for those who don't know, part of the reason I was sent this, it was an appeasement gift from Game Wizard for all the times he has run into me in Golf with Friends. I mean, I usually, again, end up saying I will come burn his house down or the like. But this is we were calling it my appeasement gift. It's great. It has pockets. Ha ha ha. I am a gremlin. Match ASMR content. I don't think I've ever done ASMR content, and I don't think I'd be good at it. I know, pockets. We always love pockets. Pockets. Yeah, he is very incel-coded. Very true. Although, is he an incel? Likely not. Like, let's be real, almost all of these theaters have probably had sex in their lives, so... But yeah, very incel-coded. Very, very incel-coded. She looks appeased, but he's not running into her at this very moment. This is true. Amphi is the precursor to the incel. I mean, the suitors, I think, really could be seen that way. I really think they could, especially when you consider that awful speech they give at the quorum, where they basically go, well, it was Penelope who led us on and then played the trick with the shroud. And it's like, bruh, you're in her house. Yes. Well, as I say, we do not blame Agnes for latching on to like a horrible trash fire character. We've all done it. Look, I like the Phantom of the Opera. I acknowledge that man is a groomer and a murderer and he's awful, but he's also petty. And I vibe with the pettiness. And if we go with the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, he's got the good songs, okay? I'm a simple girl. He's got the good songs. He just needs a hug. No, but I can acknowledge he's terrible. I don't try to in any way claim he doesn't deserve what happened to him, at least in terms of the shit that he does and what he gets in respect to that, or that, you know, he's not terrible, or that, oh, they clearly liked him. I'm like, no, everybody was fucking terrified of him. The Phantom of the Opera's terrible. Where we get on Agnes's case is Agnes likes to try to rewrite Amphithemis and believe that he's not a terrible person. And that's the problem. That's where, and Agnes knows, that's when we start spritzing her with the bottle. Is when she starts trying to basically rewrite the character. And we're like, no, keep your head canon out of here. JD with Heathers. Yeah, another character. Totally understand. It's up there where people say Griffith from Berserk did nothing wrong. I look at it. Yes, exactly. Like, that's where I say, you can love your trash fire characters. Look, I love them. I love so many of the men of Greek mythology. I love reading about them, and even some of the women. Everybody's a fucking flaming garbage can in 99.9% of Greek mythology. I love them for it. But I'm not going to try and say they're not flaming trash cans. You will never hear me try to say that, oh, but he's not bad, or oh, but I whatever. I'm like, no, he's a dick. Like, oh no, that character's terrible. Still find him interesting and love him. He's my terrible character, but I'm not trying to rewrite him. Yes, being the flaming trash can is part of their charm, correct. And look, as we say, different strokes for different folks. Like, I don't get the appeal of Amphithemis, but if that's what does it for you, Agnes, he's all yours, you can have him, but don't try and make him someone he's not. That's sort of the cardinal rule. If you want a headcanon, that's fine, but you keep it as the headcanon. The actual character, you cannot make him something he's not. Yeah, flaming trash cans on wheels, to quote Fell, exactly.